Hi guys, it's Nicole, Jennings, owner and founder of Queen Anna House of Fashion, and you're back for another episode of the Royal Report. You are in for such an inspiring treat. We got a chance to sit down with one of our QA clients and discuss some entrepreneurship, motherhood type things. And it's one of those things that, again, as we are continuing to celebrate women all over, past, present, and even the ones future too, it's always inspiring to hear someone else's story. I think that women ought to share more, be a little bit more transparent, to just let another woman who might be in the same predicament or situation, for that matter, understand that they're not alone. And so that's what you're going to hear today on another episode of the Royal Report. Listen up. Welcome back to another episode of the Royal Report. This is where Queen Anna House of Fashion, usually we are in the store showing clothes, but it is Women's History Month. So we are bringing not the runway this time, because we usually bring the runway into the real world and break it down for fashion connoisseurs like yourselves watching. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. We have one of our clients here who is an entrepreneur and has an amazing story. And given that it is Women's History Month, we always are trying to partner with and enlighten the community, the world, about what it is that we're doing as women and as entrepreneurs. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome DelRae Messer.
Hello, hello. So excited to be here. Thank you. I'm honored.
I'm so glad that you were able to make it in. One of the things that we connected on as a client at QA is coming when you came in is just literally having authentic conversation. And if anyone knows me by now or been following our brand long enough, you know that authenticity is probably one of my number one values, one of my core values, one of our brand core values is just being authentic to who we are, not trying to be anyone else, not trying to do anyone else, and partnering with other people, because I feel like there's enough space in the world for us all to live and thrive. And so I am excited for you to share your story and, a little bit about what it is you do, your passions, and kind of just, we'll have that conversation just to share with the world.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you. And my hope and intention is to just inspire somebody listening today. I mean, first, I have to say thank you so much, Nicole, because as a farm girl from North Dakota, fashion was not my forte. So walking in and just feeling uncomfortable in that journey, you just embraced my authenticity and you helped me feel just so welcome and a sense of belonging. So thank you. In fact, this shirt that I'm rocking is from you. So
I know, I love it. It's so good on your color. Like, it's great. It's a great shirt. So you look good.
Well, thank you. And I think my ambition and just sense of entrepreneurship really started in small family farming because everything was so uncertain. Year to year, I mean, our entire livelihood was dictated by the weather and crops. I just got so used to uncertainty. I got used to the hours of an entrepreneur, early mornings, late nights, a lot of uncertainty. And when my dad would come home from the field, I did have a mom that raised, 4 of us kids. I was the oldest of 4. We grew up very humbly. Double wide trailer, literally 45 miles from a town with groceries. And the last kid to shower had a cold trickle of water. So I know what it's like to, feel a lot of that, but also take a sense of pride in role modeling, thinking bigger for my siblings. So I took academics and athletics very seriously. Knowing my parents couldn't necessarily afford college, I wanted to inspire them to have scholarships because I didn't want my parents to feel bad about that. But I took it to another level because achievement was really how I felt validated and worth something. So I constantly was striving to succeed, thinking that that was my only worth and value. So gaining a scholarship to NDSU in Fargo for track and cross country and an academic scholarship, I found myself again just competing and thriving in that. But quickly had kind of a hurdle and obstacle in the road, like I'm sure many of us have experienced. But she's now 17. So I found myself pregnant at 20, very unexpected. I had her at 21. And I had a lot of choices to make because I was raised where women didn't necessarily pursue a career in the same way. So I was very highly judged, not accepted, both in community, family, and a religious upbringing. So I just felt lost. I decided to go to chiropractic school when she was 3 months old. So that's when I moved to the big city of Minneapolis. I say big city because literally in our town, we didn't even have a stoplight. We had a stop sign. And only because there was a T in the road. So
this is big city then. This is big city living.
Absolutely. And I remember I'm very ambitious. And when I set my mind to something, I feel like I'll absolutely be able to do it. But this was the first time I really questioned myself. I remember so vividly, I was in 494 traffic, bumper to bumper, which I was not used to. And McKenna was just screaming in the back, 3 months old. I looked over in my seat and I had a stack of books, 35 credits for my first trimester, going home to my apartment. And I was like, are you really going to be able to do this? Like, what were you thinking? And it was that mean girl that started to talk to me in a way that was just overwhelming. And I thought, you know what? You can totally move home. You know, it'd be way more comfortable and familiar to just kind of take some time to decide what you're going to do. But when I got home, I got a book in the mail from the chiropractor that inspired me to be one. And it was called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most timeless success principle books. And I just made a decision. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you're just going to persist until you're going to do what it takes. You're going to show her that no matter what happens in your life, it's not the experiences that happen to us, it's how we respond to them. So from that day forward, I got up at 4:30. I did my workout with her in the baby carrier. I studied extra, stayed up till midnight, pumped during lunch hour in the locker room, saved to the
that life.
Totally. So I was able to get through school, was a part of a practice for several years. And I mean, I think there's probably a lot of high achievers maybe even listening to this and could resonate with where you just don't even remember half of your life because you're just so busy and in it and set goals and achieve them. But I entered a lot of unhealthy relationships, both personally and professionally, because my biggest limiting belief was the label of who I was after really having a lot of projections thrown at me. I felt like I was a mistake because I had made a mistake. So I didn't feel worthy of healthy relationships. I felt I didn't deserve that. And so it wasn't until about 6.5 years ago, I ended up with another little one in a pretty unhealthy relationship because I just was not complete in who I was, but I was achieving. I had moved my business into the online space. I actually developed a couple of nutrition products, manufactured, formulated, put my label on them. But I quickly realized that industry, you know, somewhat like I think any industry, you think of fitness and beauty and nutrition, you think of all these industries where we're perpetuating a narrative that needs to be changed. You know, whether it's diet culture, whether it's beauty only being from the outside in, which is why I love your message of authenticity. And I woke up one day just asking myself, like, is this it? Is this how I'm going to raise my daughters, with this kind of environment of their mom just trying to succeed to feel like she's worth something? And my relationship with my older daughter had really suffered. And that was the most amount of guilt and shame that I had carried, was that she was raised by daycare while I was in school. I was in unhealthy relationships that she saw, and she just saw me as a surface, empty shell of a mom. And I just made a decision that day to figure it out. I was not going to be a label of a single mom with 2 daughters from 2 different dads and let that define me. I was going to say, that's my story. I'm going to own it. And I'm going to show people that you can absolutely build a life with freedom of choice. And that's when I decided to partner with a holistic health, wellness, and beauty company. And it's been 6.5 years, and I finally found my voice. My authenticity was able to really attract beautiful servant leaders. I love helping people transform their lives emotionally, physically, and financially. And most importantly, allow them to share a message that's true and authentic to them.
That's awesome. What would you say was your motivator? Like, how did you get to that point?
Pain. Pain was my motivator. I had a great mentor come into my life, and she asked me a few questions that had nothing to do with making more money or, what a lot of people will present as an opportunity. And she just asked me, like, who do you want to be as a mom? Who do you
Mm-hmm.
want to be? And what kind of life do you want to design? Because family is such a top core value of mine. I wanted to retire my mom. I wanted to give my family experiences that we didn't have growing up because cows don't milk themselves.
Right.
We didn't get to travel. We didn't get to experience cultural diversity and literally immerse ourselves in other experiences. And it's why I wanted to move to the city. I wanted them to experience diversity, not in just talking about it, but literally playing at the park, with
Mm-hmm.
every type of human that there is and immerse them in that. And that was just a different experience than I had growing up. And I wanted to gift that to them. And when somebody asked me, like, what's going to happen if you don't change? Like, what's the worst case scenario that could happen 5, 10 years down the road? And I thought to myself, what would be the one thing that would be the most painful experience in my life? And I pictured my daughter, actually my older
Mm-hmm.
daughter, and I pictured her getting married and her telling me that I wasn't invited to her wedding because I didn't step up as a mom, because I didn't figure it out, because I didn't own my worth. I didn't change that relationship by being the mom I always wanted to be, and finally give up that stressed achiever in me and start finding fulfillment in the contribution and service to others. And that changed everything. In fact, there's no achievement in the past 6.5 years of scaling a multiple seven-figure income online that could compare to this. It's literally right in front of me. It's a letter she wrote to me on Mother's Day. And it talked all about who I've become and my character and what I've become for her and her sister versus anything that they would ever see in achievement.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I thought that was so, impactful about what you said is the fact that I could resonate really well with what you were talking about as it relates to your children, because those are my 4 children, are my 100%, without a doubt, my reason why, like, anything. Well, Nicole, why do you have that? My kids. Why do you my kids? Like, and I don't even call them kids. I call them humans because I really feel like I'm raising humans
Same.
to be, I don't want to raise kids. Kids are kids and they grow, but I want to raise really good humans. And the way that kids learn is from seeing. And so what you said about how your daughter might have saw you and like you wanted to figure it out for her, for you, that relationship. When I had my son, that's when I started my first business, the personal styling one, mainly because of the fact that I had clothing in my closet from size 4 to 6 to 2X because I had had 4 children. And so, and some of it had labels, some of it was maternity, some of it was not. And it was just cluttered. I felt lost. I just didn't know. And so when I was talking to other women, you would never I'm sure you would believe it because you're having this conversation with me, but so many women felt the same way, felt the same way. And so that's when I ventured out and took that first step. But one of the things that I also heard you say was you mentioned something about, being comfortable. You could be somewhere and be comfortable, like at home, or one of the things that I feel like, as an entrepreneur, and I've made mistakes, a lot of them, and that's the only way you're going to learn is through making mistakes. But comfortability, it kills.
Yep.
On all levels, whether it's with health, you get comfortable with that. You get comfortable with, where you are in life, and you're like, I'm just going to do the same thing every day for the rest of my life until I die. I no judgment. Yep. None whatsoever. But I believe that, we all have a purpose and a place in which we're supposed to impact. And I believe that obviously as parents, as mothers, I know that it starts with our kids, But when it comes to the concept of the things and the challenges that continue to come, they won't stop. You know, they're going to continue to come, but you have to have it made up in your mind. And that's what I heard you say. You made it up in your mind. Like, okay, what in visualization? I'm such a big visualizer.
Me too.
So like, you know, at the beginning of the year when we did an event where we did vision boards, but it was digital because, you know, a lot of people have their screens open all the time, especially now. And when I recognized how important it is for me to see what it is I want. And when you said someone asked you about that, kudos to them, because that's a conversation you don't really, where do you know, I had a friend, her name is Charlene Dabbs, who literally, she was the only person I think in my business life, in my business circle, that would ask me questions and I would not be prepared. Like, oh my, wait, what?
Yep.
Where do you see yourself in, like, and it wouldn't be like 10 years, it would be like 8 years.
Yep.
You know, so, or like, tell me more about your passion and your vision for your business and where you see it perpetuating into, you know, past these walls.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. Give me a minute. So, but when I recognized, I visualized it and I was able to come up with it, and I was able to articulate it. To say it is one thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say you want something, but then when you put it in your mind or you put it in front of you every single day, it makes such a difference.
It does. And I'm a complete geek. That's why I went to chiropractic school. I love neuroscience.
You see these books?
Yes, I same. And just what our brain is so capable of with neuroplasticity and science showing now, like our lives are a choice. It's so beautiful that we have choice no matter what happens to us. And we all have stories. We all have things that happen in your right. You know, things aren't just going to get easier. There's going to be adversity. But what's beautiful is every time you overcome it, now you have this little toolbox that you reach into for emotional processing, for resilience, for grit, for like, I love that word. It's just being gritty is what it takes. And again, you're role modeling that. There's this beautiful quote. It's being uncomfortable is the price of admission for a meaningful life. Because as humans, we crave growth. Growth means that we're evolving, that progress over perfection and joy in the journey is what we're embracing versus what we've really been conditioned to believe. We have been conditioned to believe that at a happiness destination, right? Happiness is a destination. It's outside of us, or it's at a certain time or a certain level of income, certain level of success, the perfect family photo, to relationship status, to our body, to what we drive. And we're just conditioned to believe that happiness is that, when in fact, science and research shows you're one act of service away from a fulfilled life. That when you're growing, and you are serving others and finding a purpose in that and a meaning in your life, it doesn't matter amount of money you have, the amount of success that you have, it literally is the ticket to fulfillment. In fact, there's end of life studies done that show most people wish they would have just simply had more experiences with those they love the most.
Yeah.
And most of us go to our grave with dreams on our heart and fear in our head and regret. And I just wanted to role model that I did not want to be that person. I wanted to have choice. And the last year and a half, I've experienced probably more adversity with freedom of choice, you know, because of where my business was built. And that's what I'm most grateful for, that I didn't quit when it got hard, that I didn't figure that I consider myself a failure in business and relationships because several things didn't work out. Just like you said, I had 2 grandparents that passed away. Small family farming is very hard right now. To be able to have retired my mom is so meaningful, and to have a family member go through cancer treatment last year, you know, and the last year of being quarantined and what type of toll that can take on our mental health. But having purpose every day, was able to overcome that. And you and I are so passionate about what happened right in our backyard in Minneapolis,
Mm-hmm.
and us having a voice for and role modeling what that looks like to have tough conversations. And I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in a place where I have to have tough conversations, but I have built a life where I want to role model that to my girls, that those tough conversations lead to so much change and trust
Absolutely.
and collaboration and co-creation among us.
Absolutely. Well, you know how I feel about that concept between my podcasting and getting a dog name and naming her Brie, right? Like just to have those incredibly tough conversations are necessary. So if there was something that you would leave the the listeners with when it comes to, I know that, tell a little bit about what you do, and anything that you would want to leave as an inspirational, like you can do it. I know for myself, I mean, you've got 2 girls, but I've got 3 girls and a son, and I always feel like he's getting it from his dad, but he's also getting it from mommy too. So whoever he marries, he's gonna be a very, very loving partner. Like that's gonna make, we're gonna make sure of that. But the concept of it is that I believe that, the boundaries that are set by society, the boundaries that are tried to be placed in front of women specifically, whether it's through, different pay rate wages, or women can't do this, or you should do this as a woman, you can't do that as a, first of all, anyone that tells me I can't is like, okay, so you're asking me what time I should tell you that it's done. Like, don't tell me the I can't concept. And so I believe that, the boundaries that are set I believe are set by ourselves. Just because the world tells you you can only get to this level, and then you don't get a seat at the table, or you get a hit a glass wall. I was raised to believe that there was no wall. The only wall was in my mind.
Absolutely.
And that is one of the things that I model and try to model even in hard times. Even if my heart is like, and my mind might be unsure, I've conditioned myself to continue in the motion of it so that everything comes in alignment, even if something is off. So I know for myself, that's one of the things that I try to exude within my business, where as I always tell people, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to wear a shirt because I don't like my arms. I'm like, well, those are the only 2 arms you have. And so you couldn't have arms, and you love your arms then.
Exactly.
Or the weight or the butt or the whatever, girl, it's yours. You better love that thing, right? You only get one. So that's where I try to exude that, not only in my daily life, but in my business as well. So that's what is, something that I'm sharing with the world through Queen Anna and One Posh Closet. But what is it that you do, and how are you giving your gift to the world through your business?
I consider myself a mompreneur and a social impact entrepreneur. I love solving really big problems and contributing to the world. But what has built my business is I truly believe everybody deserves to live a healthy, joyful, and abundant life. And unfortunately, not everybody is given that opportunity around nutrition and transforming their health because of lack of resources. It's very important that, I help people with education and understanding nutrition and how fueling our body is so important. It's this physical vessel that carries out, I believe, a purpose and a mission. And that's it's important, and a lot of us are just fueling it conveniently because we're exhausted and stressed and busy. So I do help people transform their health through nutrition solutions, but also find joy in their journey, and a mindset shift by creating community and a sense of belonging. So I do have a large community. It's probably what I'm most proud of is cultivating community and a sense of belonging, where people are actually valued, seen, heard, celebrated, appreciated, encouraged. We show up every morning on a global morning leadership Zoom where I talk about what servant leadership is and how it looks to actually show up as the best version of yourself. And my favorite part about my business is helping people start a side gig, side hustle, just get online, create income. I mean, there's so much opportunity right now to be able to create an additional income stream. Most people that I work with don't come to me for a full-time career. They already have something going on, but they love health, well-being, beauty. They want to make a difference. They want to make an impact, and they want to bring an additional stream of income into their home. Last year, we've realized how many people have really struggled, with that, or had either a job that they've lost or they're in transition. I think that there's many of us that realize right now more than ever, we don't have to have one career.
Mm-hmm.
We can shift and pivot. We can utilize the skills we've developed. I don't think that we're going to tolerate toxic work environments or just jobs that pay the bills anymore. There are so many people searching for a purpose-driven work life. And so that is absolutely my jam, is to help people create an income by creating impact in other people's lives. So it's just, I feel like I'm just getting started in that space, and helping women and empowering them
Mm-hmm.
is my life's purpose. Absolutely. I personally never want a woman to be in a place where she can't financially afford to leave, because that was me for a really long time without choice. And to say, no matter what your story is, you get to write the ending, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That is my last piece of advice, is stop the comparison game. Stop thinking you're too old to start something. You don't have enough skills. Courage is something that you muster. You've persisted at something in your life before.
Mm-hmm.
Write a letter to your persistence and tell her thank you.
Right.
I've done hard before. I can do it again. I'm not stuck. I'm not in a place where I can't change it. You absolutely can. So take a look at her in the mirror. And I think self-worth and self-forgiveness is probably one of the biggest shifts that I've had. I had to let go of guilt and shame for the past in every area of my life and take radical responsibility that I was the common denominator. There was no one else I could blame for where my life was. I was the common denominator. But that's a beautiful place to be, because it means that you can create from a blank slate and you can design a life by choice.
Absolutely. And the forgiveness part. And I mean, as a mom and not being at home, and, for me, I'll speak for me, that concept is one that I had to do that forgiving process of, I know that I am a great mother. I know that I can do both this and that, right? It doesn't have to be either or. And again, it took a journey, right? Like, and I hit walls still, like, even in the growth, the forward motion, it's not like an easy thing, right? It's every day is waking up and putting on that proper mindset to continue on and press through and persevere. And I think that that's one thing that we as women don't give ourselves enough credit for. We've gone through a lot. Yep. And I honestly don't believe that it could be anybody else. And like you said, you're right where you need to be. I honestly believe that too. I believe that you are built for the season that you're in, and that shifting and transition is supposed to be different. It's supposed to feel different because you're transitioning. Now, which way? That's, again, a choice. It's a perspective and a choice. You can either see it as the glass half empty, or you can see it as an opportunity for the glass to be half full, and then you can fill your cup, fill your glass. So again, all of the things about options and choices and empowering women to understand it. And that's one of the reasons why I love this conversation and just what you do, because of the simple fact that we're both on the same page on that space. Like, we deserve, and again, I have to thank thank you, Granny, because of the concept of, she always told me I deserve the best. And I don't know if I've ever heard that someone else, oh my gosh, my parents told me that too. That's pretty much all she said to me. You deserve the best, because my expectation is that you're going to give me and the people around you your best. So that's like, if you're giving your best, then all you should be receiving and be expecting is the best. And that's been my mindset ever since. Like, barrier, what? No, never. No, it's not even a concept for me. But is it difficult? Is it challenging? Do you sometimes feel like, what am I doing? Yeah, that was me. 2 months of my business being closed, and then riots, and then all types of stuff, right? So do I know all the answers? No. But am I ever going to be able to say, like, I threw in the towel, I quit, I did that? No. If I do something like that, because sometimes you have to make that decision. That's a big decision and a big choice too, but it's a necessary one. Sometimes for us to continue on to a next level. And it would be by choice, not because of something that overcame me.
Absolutely.
So, DelRae, where can people find you? Where can they find more about what it is that you're doing?
Oh, I'm so excited. So my website is wellspokenlifestyle.com, and look for some local events. I do a lot of local events. I want to have, starting in May, a once a month luncheon for women that want to be empowered and just increase their self-worth, self-confidence. I'm going to call it the Well-Spoken Woman. I'd love for you to be a guest.
Oh, good.
Yes, because we're not our labels. We're not our labels. You are equal to us in every way. And I just want to bring in more of that conversation in Minneapolis, especially, and empower more women to pursue their dreams. So wellspokenlifestyle.com. I am on social media too, Dr. DelRae. So DrDelRae on Instagram is where you can find me, and hopefully soon in your Queen Anna space shopping.
Absolutely. Well, you will find you there, and I'm going to put all of this information out because you guys are going to go and check out everything that is going on in Dr. DelRae's space. I want to make sure that the great things that are going on in your space it definitely reaches not just my community, but those connected to my community, and so on and so on. And I'm so excited about that opportunity and excited to see what, transpires for you as you continue to grow what it is that you do, your passions and your impact, your social impact, which is huge. So thank you so much for joining me here on the Royal Report. And we look forward to connecting again soon.
Can't wait.
Awesome. Until next time, you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.